This is On the Sidelines with Fox 13.
All right, welcome to another episode of the On the Sidelines podcast. I'm your host, Ethan McReynolds, here with my partner in crime, as always, DJ Dante Jackson, and our special guest for today from Fox 13 Seattle. You know her, you love her, the Alyssa Charlston-Smith. Alyssa, thank you so much for hopping back on, taking the time for us.
Happy to. Appreciate it. I hope you guys love me.
Everyone does. You're actually our most downloaded episode on the podcast. It's the one that you were on before March Madness. Yep.
That still stands.
Everyone loves.
And I might add my favorite. So when I heard Alyssa was coming, I jammed up north to get here.
Dante's on vacation. He came up here to talk sports with the two of us. So
an honor.
Here we are. We have a basketball expert here on the show, so we will be talking about the Storm. But there's just so much going on in Marinerland right now that we have to start there. An awesome most recent stretch for the Mariners. They sweep the Pirates. They don't give up a single run. The pitching was literally perfect. Shout out Nathan Bishop on Twitter, by the way. You know there's the meme on Mariners Twitter where it's just like a piece of loose leaf paper, and it's like, was the Mariners pitching literally perfect? Yes. Okay, they won. No, they lost. It's like Mariners pitching literally has to be perfect, and they were this last series against the Pirates.
Yes, we back. We up, baby. The pitching is back. What more can you say? This is the team that we've been waiting for all season. The pitching was intact. The offense did just enough. Go Mariners.
It's been incredible. It's been so fun. Look, I think Logan Gilbert gave up one run. Like, how could you, Logan? Come on. Hold up the standard. You're giving up a run out here?
Yes.
Yeah.
But the thing that's crazy, too, is, like, they weren't the identity of the team. I think that's the biggest shock of the season. And then now they're back. And, hey, they're starting to trend the right direction. And, hey, the offense is doing their part by not showing up. And hopefully they get hotter, right? I know we'll talk about Julio and everything, but man, this pitching staff, and they needed that because it's not like Pittsburgh's lineup is not impressive. But think about George Kirby a couple years ago. He gave up, 8 or 9, maybe 10 runs?
Yeah.
It was a terrible start for him against a similar Pittsburgh Steelers lineup. So just because it's a bad team doesn't mean we can't give them all the credit in the world for 3 straight shutout games. That was incredible.
Yeah, well, a little throwback to the identity of the Mariners team from last season. It was definitely good to see. And George Kirby slowly getting hot. 3 straight starts, 6 innings or more. I think 1 earned or less in all 3 of those. So would love to see a in-form, firing on all cylinders, George Kirby. Randy Arozarena has just been scorching hot.
Yes.
The last month, he's 6th in OPS in the entire American League, OPSing over 1,000. What have you guys seen from Randy Arozarena?
Well, I mean, as stated before,
Randy
is my guy. And the swag. That's what I love about him, the swag. I mean, he's playing hoops out there. He crosses the arm, giving the, I think this team needs that kind of attitude. And I think it will only pave the way for more success for other players, namely Julio. I think once you see Randy getting hot and heating up like that, I think it becomes contagious.
Well, and you mentioned Julio. He has not played his best over the past couple weeks, month, but he was named to the All-Star game. Sort of surprisingly, congratulations to him. I was a little bit surprised to see him on the roster. He joins Cal Raleigh, obviously, as a starter. Brian Wu, well-deserved, is the workhorse in this Mariners rotation, and Andres Munoz as well, who has been near perfect on that closer role. What do you guys make? Mariners fan base I've seen a lot of hate online for Julio Rodriguez because one of our own has been named to the All-Star game.
Yes.
One of the most lovable characters in the media, in the locker room. He just has so much joy playing baseball. A homegrown talent gets named to the All-Star game and it's met with vitriol and hate. I can't make any sense of it. What do you guys make of it?
First of all, I can say I was also shocked to see him make it, but you look at it and the players voted him in. So blame the players. I'd have to go back and check when the cutoff date was because, if there's recency bias, put Randy Arozarena in the All-Star game, right? But the players respect him. And if you look at the other center fielders, it's not like there's the cream of the crop when you're looking at the center fielders in American League. They're all kind of similar, and Julio's WAR is up there. I know it's not the best among center. I think Boston's center fielder, Rafael.
Yeah, Rafael.
Yeah,
he's pretty good.
I think he's slightly above Julio in WAR. But look, I don't think it's deserving of hate, but I kind of understand the fans being pissed because he's not leveling up to whatever contract he earns. Not like that's the most expensive in Major League Baseball. But he's not been the star that we've expected him to be from the start of every single season. And I think it's kind of building up, and it's shocking to see where we've come from, right? Like, think about 2022, he was the face of the franchise. Yeah. Everything was so exciting. 2023, he, set a first round record in the home run derby. We could not have been higher on Julio Rodriguez, and here we are. Shocked and mad, like Mariners fans mad that he's making the All-Star game. That's a crazy transition.
See, really quick, the points you bring up are completely valid, and the hate and shock I understand, but not from our own fan base. That's something that I would expect and am seeing from
the fan base
sure, but to him being named an All-Star,
yeah.
Your own fan base doesn't give you hate. Blue Jays fans should get mad that George Springer wasn't in. Red Sox fans should get mad that Rafael is not in. But your own fans should not be getting upset that your own player, your homegrown talent, this just bright light of a personality is on a national stage, is being recognized by his peers. I just don't understand the hate. But DJ, what do you make of it?
You might not understand it, but I get it. And let's make a show rule number 1. Don't tell a fan how to fan. Yeah. Okay? Because I get upset with Julio also, and I expect more, So with that being said, the fans know he hasn't been an All-Star this year. Now, I think he's been better than some have, said he is, but he hasn't lived up to that promise that we've seen in the last 3 years. Let's just keep it 100. Julio is not that guy. And we'll talk about it later in the Puget Sound Panic Meter, but I'll give you a preview right now. Is like, who is at fault right now? Is it the Mariners for gassing him up and making him into this star before he earned it? Or is it Julio for not living up to their expectations and not getting better in his career year after year? So whose fault is it?
The comp is interesting, though. You can't directly compare Cal Raleigh to Julio, but to your point, they gassed Julio up like crazy when he was 22, 23, 24. Cal, when he was done with the All-Star voting, you saw the video in the locker room. He's like, "I'm sorry, guys, my face has been everywhere. I know it's been super annoying." That's his personality, and that's why I think he's been able to stay level-headed, and slowly his trajectory has gotten better. Julio has embraced it with a smile, and he's all about it, and he's on Twitter, and he's, and he's not necessarily cocky, but I would say he's embraced it as a young superstar more so than Cal has. And in baseball gods don't always reward the overconfident.
And let me add also, in Julio's defense, he has been in the spotlight since his start. Yes. Cal has had a natural progression. He's had a chance to kind of grow his game in the shadows. And now he busts out, and he has that progression. Now he's bust out with this year. Now he has to sustain this year and put it together another year next season also. So that's what we're looking forward to. But Julio has been in the spotlight, and there's levels to this. That's different. Doing it in the spotlight rather than doing it in the shadows. So to Julio's defense, he is a good player. He's not what we expected. He's not great right now, but he is a solid player, and he has been in the spotlight since day one.
I think it's really interesting how Mariners fans view Julio, and I totally understand with how much he's sort of, Anders came on here and how much the Mariners shove him down our throats a little bit at times. Yeah. He's growing his brand. I mean, he's the MLB, he gets a lot of national attention. Yeah. And for the Seattle Mariners up here in the Pacific Northwest, that's incredibly valuable for this organization. I feel like so many teams would take a player like Julio. Excellent in the locker room, elite defense. Does multiple things offensively with the way he impacts the games on the base paths, even when he's not hitting as well like we know that he can, with the power that we know he has. Incredible with the media. There's so many worse players that could have come out of the Mariners farm system. Yeah. I think it's incredibly unfair to, demoralize him just because he's not a future, at this moment, a future Hall of Famer. Yes. Yeah. How many future Hall of Famers are there in Major League Baseball right now? And Julio's only 24?
That's what
on an incredibly reasonable contract, by the way.
Yeah.
Signed, locked up for the next 10 years.
Committed to Seattle.
To Seattle. Yeah. How many, we are so lucky that Cal Raleigh and Julio Rodriguez have committed to stay here to lead this franchise for the next several years. And yet we're...
Well, if Julio shows up. That's
Sure.
the thing. Like, if he
Sure.
doesn't show up, then we aren't so lucky.
You know what, they paying these guys, so let's not say we're lucky, you know, and that's the attitude right there. I think it's a lazy narrative nationally, you know, because they find a name, they latch on to it, and they continue to gas it up, and that's why Julio is in the All-Star game this year, because he has a name. They don't watch the games. They don't know Cal Raleigh is the leader of this team. They finally starting to realize. But if they actually watch the games of the Seattle Mariners and watch sports in South Alaska, as some might call it, you know, they would find the good players. I compare him, and this is a weird comparison, but I compare him to Bobby Wagner. Bobby Wagner became the representative of LOB. He wasn't even part of that. That was actually the secondary. He wasn't the best player on that defense, but they found his name, and now he's on like his 15th Pro Bowl. So, like, and I thought he was a solid player. I thought he was a good player. He's a future Hall of Famer. Yeah. But did I ever think he was great? No, he wasn't. But they caught his name nationally, and every year they voted him in because that was the representative of the Northwest. They're not watching the games up in the Northwest, because if they did, Cal Raleigh would be in an All-Star game twice already.
I think that analogy fits for maybe his later Seahawk years. Those LOB years, yeah, was the secondary, the identity of that team, absolutely. But Bobby Wagner was the best middle linebacker in the league for a decent stretch. You can make the argument between him and Luke Kuechly. Yeah. That's a topic for another day. But I mean, he's a future Hall of Famer for a reason.
Yeah,
you know,
it's incredible years.
Yeah, Julio's not there yet. You brought up the Puget Sound panic meter.
Yes,
Julio has not been very good the past month. How panicked are we about Julio Rodriguez as we sort of creep towards the All-Star break into the second half, Alyssa? One being not panicked, 10 being extremely panicked. Raise the alarms.
I'm saying like 7.5 right now. This is the time where he's supposed to get hot.
Yeah.
And all I can say is, if deserving or not, the All-Star game, I just hope it fuels his second half. If he's surrounded by other stars and looking at their habits and just kind of being around that, I think it can do good. I wish he was in the home run derby, because that totally changed his 2023 season. Like, he was just incredible after the home run derby. I feel like he found his swing. And we had the Marine Layer podcast guys on Washington Sports Wrap, and they were talking, I think Lyle was talking about just like he needs that lift, like figuring out the feeling of like, I mean, we don't want him to go swing out of his shoes just for home runs, but this season we're seeing a lot more ground balls, a lot more low in terms of just offensive production. So I'm panicked, because it's like, you got to get this thing going now. Right. Yes. And the signs have not been there all season long. He's how many home runs?
11.
11. Yeah, 11 on the season. Cal over here with 35. Yes. Randy with 14. So defensively, I'm not worried about him. He's going to be incredible, but that's an effort thing mostly. I mean, yes, skill is involved. Effort is huge in the outfield. So that always is going to come with it. And panic-wise, his attitude is fantastic always. He's always such a team-forward guy. So that's where I do have to give him respect. When Randy doesn't have a good game, or other players don't always have a good game, you kind of see it on their face.
Oh, yeah.
Julio's celebrating everybody, always. So I do love that about him.
With Cal setting the standard at 35 home runs so far, I mean, that's hard to live up to for any player.
He could set the record in the American League for home runs.
Barry Bonds.
You could put Cal on any team in the MLB, and that next star would have pressure on him. So I give Julio a pass on that. Now, the panic meter for me is a 3. I'm not that panicked on Julio, because guess what? He is what we thought he was. Like, I mean, he's a good player. He's not a great player. He showed that in the last 3 years, that he's above average, but he's not a great player. So I'm not going to panic anymore. This is what I expect out of Julio. Moments of brilliance. You know, he'll be a great player for a week or two, and then he'll probably drop back down. He's an inconsistent young player in a baseball game, and that's what he is. So my panic is 3. I would say it's about a 3. I'm approaching halfway there with a little panic meter, but not too panic, because this is who I think Julio is.
The standards changed. That's interesting.
Yeah,
yes. I mean, like I said, I resigned to the fact. I'm defeated on that, because I was one of those ones who was ready to run down and get the 44 jersey.
Yeah.
You know, but the last 2 or 3 years, it's kind of like he's on a decline right now. He's on the wrong side of trending, but I also realized that he's still above average, and this is a good player for the Mariners. Like you said, plenty of teams will take him. We're not saying get rid of him. We're definitely not saying that. But we're saying, hey, you got to do better, Julio.
Absolutely. I'm sort of in the middle between you guys. I'm going to put my panic meter at a 5. And I'm sort of going to combine your points. Honestly, I like everything that you guys have said. I think, Dante, I'm a little bit higher than you because, Alyssa, to your point, it is creeping up into July when he's supposed to get hot, and he's going the opposite direction. You saw some, he was playing a lot better in June, early June, late May. And now we're sort of started seeing some regression. This homestand was just been absolutely, just awful. But I'm not up to you, Alyssa, at a 7.5 because, when me and DJ have been talking about Julio this whole season, the standard has sort of changed for him. And my expectations have been sort of tempered because of, his regression the last 3 years since his rookie season. I don't think it's fair anymore to, I'm not going to put the expectations of him being a superstar on him anymore. Call it fair or unfair, whatever you want, but I'm not expecting Julio to be a superstar anymore. We talked about how this offense needs to be led by Julio Rodriguez. He needs to play at an MVP level to get them to the playoffs.
Right.
Well, you've got the MVP quality of production from Cal Raleigh right now. So it's not like you're relying on him to be the MVP candidate. You need him to contribute because obviously right now Cal Raleigh being an MVP candidate isn't enough. There's 6.5 games out of the division. But for Julio right now, I'm at a 5. I want to see him start to pick it up. But I think come August he's gonna hit one of those hot streaks that he's been known for through the first couple of years of his season.
My only thing is because you mentioned playoffs, I feel like you still need him to be close to August.
He needs to be better.
The playoffs.
He needs to be better.
Make the playoffs because that's why there's panic right now because they only have a 2-game lead in the American League wild card. We know that there's still the chance of pitching not being perfect.
Right.
And you still haven't even seen consistent good play from Julio offensively. For more than like a 10-game to 14-game stretch, he hasn't been like, oh, Julio's kind of back.
Right.
I haven't even said he's kind of back. Like this whole season he's been cold. It feels like. I mean, maybe a 4 or 5 game stretch, but that's it.
I feel like you just haven't seen the explosives.
Yeah.
Like I mean, he had
power.
The power outage is something that's very interesting. I mean, you had a solid month stretch where he was hitting 280, making good contact. The strikeouts were way down at the beginning of May.
Yeah.
Or was it Joe? One of
overall this season.
Right, overall this season it's been a lot better. You just haven't seen the explosives, the slugging, the home runs, the doubles. He's been impacting the game in other ways, in positive ways. He's still a positive for this team, but yeah, you're right. It needs to be better if this team is going to get to where they want to go.
And let me go back to the frustration of the fans also, because right now, I think the fans have resigned to the fact that Julio is not going to be that superstar, but they need him to be productive. Why? Because the actual superstar in Cal Raleigh needs protection in this lineup. That's the frustration right there. They saying, hey, we having a catcher with a historic season underway. We need some protection. They're going to keep walking him. They're going to keep throwing him bad pitches, and we need somebody behind him to pick him up. He needs help, and he's not giving Cal, our MVP candidate, that help. So I think that's part of the frustration of the fans is that, okay, if you can't be superstar Julio, at least protect Cal, who has been our superstar this year.
Be Robin.
Yes, at the very least. That's all we're asking. Protect him.
Well, speaking of protection, the Mariners could add some at the trade deadline, hypothetically, at the end of this month. ESPN came out with a potential trade proposal for Ronald Acuna Jr. from the Atlanta Braves for the Mariners. And his pick to make the deal happen was the Seattle Mariners. That's crazy in and of itself. Let's get into the actual proposal. This is from ESPN's David Schoenfield. He proposed that the Mariners would offer Colt Emerson, their number 1 prospect, Laz Montes, their number 2 prospect, Harry Ford, their number 5 prospect, Brandon Garcia, who's their number 15 prospect, and Bryce Miller for Ronald Acuna Jr. I'll leave it up to you guys. Alyssa, I'll start with you. Would you take this deal if you were the Seattle Mariners?
Yes. Yes. Honestly, and I know he's had injuries. I know he's torn both ACLs. But this is a dude who had a 41 home run, 73 stolen base season, the first ever to do that. It was in 2023. He's 27 years old. There's a risk of injury, but as we were hearing Joel Sherman say, I think on MLB Network, the Mariners have been such a minus at right field for so long. Multiple positions.
And Victor Robles is out as well. You've got a hole there.
And September, he's not coming back until September, and who knows what he's going to bring when he does come back. But Ronald Acuna instantly uplifts everybody. Like that outfield should be scary. Like Julio, all right, decent, incredible in the outfield.
Elite defensively.
Not a scary bat, but elite defensively. Randy Arozarena, when he gets hot too, and Ronald Acuna. I mean, that's a fantastic outfield. You have to be willing to give up those kind of guys. One starting pitcher, Bryce Miller's fantastic, right? He has the best ERA season of any Mariner starter right now. He's been incredible for that one season. But I think Colt Emerson may be a shortstop of the future, but you got JP there now. Harry Ford, I'm not moving Cal anytime soon. It's nice to have backup, but eventually you think he's going to get moved. You've got to use your top 100 prospects. They have, 9 according to MLB Baseline?
9 top 100 prospects by MLB.com.
Yes.
And this is a classic case of it takes money to get money.
Yeah.
You know, you got to give up something to get something. And you're talking about Ronald Acuna Jr. The injury history does give me pause. He's only played over 119 games twice in his career. So the injury history definitely gives me pause. But you're talking about a star. And you know how D-Jack loved the stars. and also you bring him in and you have instant protection for Cal Raleigh. You have more respect in that lineup. So now, you know, you have a Rosarina, you have Julio. And let's talk about Julio. With them, I mean, I think this matters. He would help Julio become more comfortable. You know, both being Hispanic and speaking the same language, maybe he can show him the ropes. And we're talking about Acuna, who's still 27 years old, only 2 years removed from an NL MVP. I mean, he made history in his year that he won the MVP. I would do this in a heartbeat. The only player that gives me pause about this to add into the deal is Montez. I love Montez. I think he has a great future with this organization. You know, like I said, it takes something to get something. I would kind of pause on Montez. I would try to put another person in that deal. But other than that, I would run up to the phone or wherever I got to do, the fax machine, the email, whatever you got to do to make this deal happen today.
Yeah. Well, for me, if not now, when are you going to swing for the fences with a deal like this? You have all of the farm system ammunition you could ever want. You've got the number 3 pick in the draft coming up over the weekend to add to that pool. And Scott Hunter, along with Jerry DiPoto and Justin Hollander, have shown they can build up a farm system. This is going to be, the third or fourth straight trade deadline where you're looking to offload your surplus of elite prospects for proven MLB talent. If Ronald Acuna Jr., if the Braves are even listening, even picking up the phone, you throw in another 2 top 10 prospects for all I care.
For real.
I mean, you need to make this happen. 2 years removed from an MVP season. He's only 27. His contract is like the most team-friendly contract in MLB history, given the player. He's got 3.5 years left on his contract at $17 million a year.
Which is how much the Mariners are currently paying Mitch Haniger right now.
Oh my!
Wow.
Just remember that right field.
That's listen, that's why we have you on the podcast. Right? That is insane.
I just checked.
Money making Mitch.
I mean, yeah. So Acuna signed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It was 7-year deal plus 2 years of club options, and then he's a free agent after his age 30 season. So, man, you're paying Ronald Acuna a very reasonable amount of money to come to your team for 3.5 years. Who cares if he walks after?
Right.
You get 3 full seasons of Ronald Acuna plus half a season right now where he debuted in late May. I mean, he's OPSing over 1,000 in the 40 games that he's played with 11 home runs. You double that to get to where we're at, the 80-90 game mark. Over 20 home runs if he played the whole season.
Yeah.
Man,
whatever you got to do, if the Atlanta Braves are picking up the phone, you need to do whatever it takes to get Ronald Acuna in a Mariners jersey. I don't care. Give up Gerangelo Sancha. I love him. Give him up.
You want to give away everybody.
Throw him in on top of what you see on your screen right now. These 4 top 15 prospects in your system plus Bryce Miller. Throw in Sancha. I'm serious. That is how valuable Ronald Acuna Jr. would be to this franchise.
You know, it's funny because what also gives me pause is that he's in the National League. And I think the Mariners haven't had a great history of bringing players over. I think it's an exchange rate, actually. I think that, yes, the American League is much better and much harder, I believe, in my opinion. Although the Dodgers, they are the champions. I think they are the team. But American League as a whole, I think, is a more difficult league. So you're hoping that he can keep that same trajectory moving over to an American League. But to have somebody request to be on the Mariners, that's like a first. Or
I don't know if he's requesting.
Well, having the Mariners on their wish list, or even considering the Mariners. I mean, that's a first that I ever heard of.
I mean, for Acuna, he doesn't have a no trade clause or anything. Right. Schoenfield put together the teams that have the ammunition to actually go out and get him. But, I mean, everyone's saying this fits for the Mariners.
Yes.
So if the Braves are even picking up the phone, which we don't know if they are,
we don't know.
But they are 9.5 games out of the wild card. They're 11 games under 500. Michael Harris, who was the NL Rookie of the Year the same year as Julio won Rookie of the Year, he has gone way further south. He's only in 210 right now. True. So, I mean, think about what you have in Julio. Michael Harris has actually absolutely, dropped off the face of the earth. Ozzie Albies, another awesome young player for them, has also fallen off. This is the time to go out and make a splash move. So go do it. There's going to be nobody available that is half as good as Ronald Acuna Jr. You need to go and get him.
I to your point, though, I can't imagine the Braves are shopping him because that contract is so friendly.
Right.
The reason why it's a great fit is the Braves need infielders. Like they have, it's a huge drop-off. They're looking for that. So I think that's why Schoenfield and Joel Sherman are saying, hey, the Mariners are a perfect fit. They've got 9 prospects in the top 100 in just about every guideline or every place that measures it. But the injury thing, I think, should make him, if this were to be a real thing, the injury thing could make him cheaper, where you don't have to throw in our switch pitching. Come on.
That's how much I want this guy. That's how much I want him.
Let me add this question. I mean, does the Mariners' history with the Braves, as far as trade history, hurt or help? I mean, the last deal was what, Jared Kelenic?
And Marco Gonzalez.
I mean,
that was a salary dump.
Was that a good thing or was that a bad thing? So will that history help?
The fact that they were able to get that deal across the finish line shows me that they have a relationship. I feel like it helps.
Yes.
So, I don't know. You got to make it happen. I forgot what I was going to say. You got to.
Hey, make it happen, Mariners.
Make it happen. Jerry Dipoto, noted on the sidelines listener. Please make this happen. Let's, Alyssa, we got you here. I want to talk basketball. I really do. We've been talking about the Storm. It's funny. Last week, I was telling you before we started recording, we did the Puget Sound Panic Meter for the Storm after they just got absolutely embarrassed in Golden State. Since then, I was at a 6 on the Panic Meter. D-Jack was at an 8, I believe, right?
Yes. I was
since then,
I was so panicked.
I was not in a good place.
We were freaking out. If the big red button was not right here on the table, we were smashing that thing. Since then, they just casually go out and beat Atlanta and New York, 2 top 4 teams. They sit just 1 game back of second place. I mean, that's crazy to think about, that the Storm could actually be in contention for second place in the league come playoff time. They got three All-Stars on the roster. Nneka's starting. Skylar deservedly is in there. I feel like she should be a starter. Gabby Williams, first appearance. What do you make of what the Storm are doing right now?
Well, they're finding themselves. I think they're a terrible matchup with Golden State, and even Skylar kind of admitted it. She didn't want to admit it, but they are not a good matchup with Golden State. This team plays defense lights out. They allowed 2 field goals in the third quarter against the New York Liberty. 2, and that's with Sabrina Ionescu and Brianna Stewart on the court. They don't have Jonquel Jones right now. She's going to be out for a while. But you've beaten the New York Liberty twice now, so you own that series, and you're seeing the shakeup in the top 4, top 5. This is why you should care, anyone, Seattle sports fans in general. The Storm could be in really good playoff position. They could get home court advantage in the playoffs because you now own the series against the New York Liberty. You beat the Minnesota Lynx, who have 2 losses on the year. There's a lot of shakeups. The Phoenix Mercury lost over the weekend. You obviously beat Atlanta, who has been a surprise this year with a lot of rookie talent.
And you beat the Aces twice.
Owning that series too. I believe they only play them 1 more time. So I think the way that they're just such a fun team to watch too. Some teams take them out of their game. It hasn't happened often. But the way they move the ball, they are so selfless. All these assists that they're racking up as a team, they always make the extra pass. Gabby Williams has been I mean, her career is just starbound.
Yes.
She does everything on defense. She has like these Spider-Man arms that are so annoying to play against if you're the offensive player. She gets after everything. Like, she's got crazy hops. She's an incredible shot. She's got mid-range. She gets to the rim. She can guard the post. Like, this team is very versatile. They love playing together, which you haven't seen over the past 2 years. I think having Jewel there taking such a large share of shots, which she had to when Sue Bird retired and Stewie left, but they're just way more fun to watch this year, and they really are a contender in the top 3.
Do you feel better about their situation right now? I mean, they're one game back of second, but they do still sit in tied for 4th place and 5th place, which is where they finished last year. Do you feel better about this team this year than last year's
100% better. Because, I mean, it's corny, but they play team basketball, and they're a way better defensive squad. Like, Ezi Magbagor may not have become the big offensive threat. That was kind of in your notes that you were talking about with us. She may not have developed into this big offensive threat, but she is a monster defensively. Like, this team is scary good on defense. And what wins you games in the playoffs? Defense wins championships, right?
Yes.
So I feel way better about them. There were times where Jewel Lloyd was a step slow, or just because she was so focused on offense, which I don't blame her, that you kind of miss an assignment on defense. Hey, we're not supposed to switch on this when it's Sabrina Ionescu and whoever, Natasha Cloud, in the past. Like, it's just, there's little things that they do so much better this year that they haven't in the past, and there's so much buy-in. This whole thing with, like, Jewel Lloyd against the Storm staff has made them closer. Like, they're way more passionate, more of a team, because if they feel like they're kind of, it's them against the world.
I feel vindicated.
Is your panic meter down this week, DJ?
I mean, that's week to week now. Hey, we're gonna have an episode every week. The panic meter gonna change every week.
Panic meter check.
But I've always loved this team, and I said the size, especially the size, straight across 1 to 5, is great. And Gabby Williams, I've always loved her game. If Skylar Diggins wasn't there, she would be our point guard. That's how talented this player is. And she can shut down any player in the WNBA 1 to 5.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about Magbagor, because I expected much, and I even highlighted her at one of the earlier podcasts. I said, if she can step up, this is a championship team. Now, the offensive game might not be there, but as long as she continues to play the type of defense she's in the running for Defensive Player of the Year right now with blocks per game, like almost 3 blocks per game. So, and I mean, I saw her play against Stewie the other night, and I mean, she did a great job. So this team has an identity, and that's defense. And they also share the ball, as Alyssa was talking about. I love this team. I think this team can go. They've showed they can beat the better teams in the league.
Yeah.
They need to keep that same focus against the lesser teams, because they're not good enough to take anybody for granted. But this team can go to the championship, definitely, and I got them going there.
Well, you mentioned Defensive Player of the Year candidate Gabby Williams, also leading the league in steals at over 2.5. Alyssa, does Ezi Magbagor's offensive regression, just over 7 points a game after, I believe it was 13 2 years ago, 11 last year, does that concern you at all? With you lose a significant offensive piece in Jewel.
Yeah.
Obviously, this year, Gabby ascends in her offensive role. I sort of expected Ezi to take a step forward as well. Does any of that concern you?
I think NECA coming in last year made it hard for Ezi to really take over as that position. And I don't know if she's destined to be a great offensive player. She's really smart. She's cerebral. But I think above anything, she is an effort and care player. She kind of has that, and I had this at some point in my career too, where my coach was like, you've got to be more selfish. Like, you've got to be, at the end of the shot clock, I just need you to make a move. And I think they've wanted her to be more selfish over time, and she just hasn't quite. That might not be her personality.
Right.
I think she likes to kind of hide in the shadows and be an incredible role player defensively, and go out and, like, her career high this year is 14 points. Yeah. So I'm not so disappointed, especially because this front court is coming. I mean, Dominique Malonga, who I know we'll get to, like, is scary. So I'm not disappointed, because I think the projection of her becoming this offensive superstar. Yes, power forwards are really important, small forwards, in this league. She kind of projected to be maybe a Stewie prototype, but she didn't have the offensive skill that Stewie had coming into the league.
No, and she doesn't have the feel for the game like that. I love exactly where she is, because I think she's an effort player. Yeah. Get it off the glass is what I tell my players. We're not going to run a play for you. NECA is the post player.
Yeah.
NECA is the all-around post type player. Face you up, back you in. That is not Ezi's game. get the offensive rebound and put it back, and she can get 10 points a game like that. She can get 14 if she run the floor. She's as fast as anybody in the league. I see her expanding her game. She's shot more three-pointers this year. She hasn't been successful, but she has expanded her game. So I think if she just gets the effort plays, the putbacks, the rebounds, the loose balls, running the floor, she can get to 10 to 12 points a game. And if she hits that sweet spot, the sky's no limit for this team.
She's playing that role to a T, and specifically defensively. I mean, she has all those block shots, but how many shots does she also alter just from her presence being in the paint? Guards coming in, settling for mid-range jumpers instead of going to the rim because they know they're just going to get packed by Ezi Magbagor. Alyssa, you brought up Dominique Malonga. I wanted to ask about her. I believe it was just 2 minutes she played against Atlanta in one of the 2 games. What do you make of how Noelle Quinn has been using Dominique this far in the season?
It's a really good question because I think fans are super curious because when she comes in, all she does is, I don't know, play 10 minutes against New York Liberty, score 11 points and get 7 rebounds. That's freaky. Like overall, average-wise, if you look at her usage, she's averaging nearly 5 points a game, 4.8, right, in 9.2 minutes to go with 3 rebounds. Like she has turnovers here and there, but the reason why, and Gabby Williams actually told us this after that Atlanta Dream game, she said that Noelle Quinn said it was because Dominique wasn't quite ready for those defensive matchups. So you look at Akiki Iriafen, who actually went 2 spots after her in the draft. You look at bigger players. I think Tina Charles. No, she's on the stun. There are some other players on the Dream that just she's not quite defensively there because she's not quite
ready
thick enough.
For
she needs
physicality.
she needs to put a few pounds on in terms of like healthy weight because I think she's got to keep that slim build because she just runs the floor like a gazelle and it's just beautiful to watch. But I think when we see her not get so many minutes, it's because she's going to get taken advantage of defensively down low.
Yes.
I'd love to see her play more though because offensively, like the pick and roll is like the most basic basketball play. They are killing teams with her in that short roll, especially because she's got so much touch. Like she's just stopping and the turnaround jumper she had against Brianna Stewart yesterday. I was like,
the left-handed layup she made at the buzzer.
Yeah, where she did not put the ball on the ground.
Yes. So I mean, Malonga has skills.
Yes.
The future is bright for the Storm. I love the way they're using her also. This is a veteran-laden team. This is a team that wants a championship, you know, and she's still a rookie and the youngest rookie in the league right now. So I don't compare her to Iriafen simply because you're talking about a 5-year player who is refined in her game. Kiki is who she is. Like she has always been that type of player. So you got Malonga who's still growing into her game. I think the potential and the ceiling in her game is higher than Kiki's, if you ask me. That's why I would not change these positions. And the roles are different. You got Kiki on a Mystics team that's 4th or 5th in the East, not really looking to win. They're rebuilding. They went young after losing Hall of Famer Elena Deladon. So they're rebuilding, and she's getting every opportunity, whereas Malonga is not getting those same opportunities because she has vets in front of her. I think this is the perfect breeding ground for her to kind of grow into her game slowly, and you'll see her explode. I think around playoff time, she'll be adding quality minutes to this team, and you'll see the talent.
Well, and I wanted to raise the question because I was looking at the list of All-Stars, and I noticed Kiki Iriafen was there. I believe is the only rookie to make the All-Star game.
No, you got Sonia Cintron, her teammate.
Okay, there you go. So Kiki went 4th overall. She's averaging 12 points a game, 8 rebounds a game, named to the All-Star team. I was curious, just would you rather have the Storm taken Kiki over Dominique? And I'm not going to lean one way or the other. That's not why I'm raising the question. I think it's interesting to talk about. But with this veteran core, you've got Skylar and Nneka, who Skylar said neither of them are getting any younger.
Yes.
It's like, when they're gone, what do you have left? So it's sort of like, okay, if we're going to go at it with this core, we need to do it this year or next year. Kiki would add to this team, I feel like, this year more than Dominique would. Or it is. I feel like you can make the argument, a more experienced player, all that college experience. She has the physicality, that we were talking about with Dominique.
She has the body too, most importantly.
Yes. Pair her with Ezi, more scoring than Ezi on a rebuilding team. But Alyssa, would you rather have taken Kiki with that number 2 pick, or are you happy that the Storm took Dominique?
Yeah, I'm happy with Dominique, 10 times out of 10. And I think I said earlier she was on Atlanta. I meant to say Washington. It's those red teams that kill me. But Kiki, like you said, refined. Like three years at Stanford, maybe 4, and then 1
Stanford, and then 2 at USC.
2 at USC. I think she only had 1 year at USC. Am I wrong? I thought it was 4 years at Stanford, then 1 year at USC. I could be wrong on that. But no matter what, 2 fantastic coaches.
Yes.
Tara Vanderveer and Lindsay Gottlieb. Like, I honestly had her as my number 2 draft pick overall before learning more about Dom Malonga, because she's
it was
so
3
refined.
at Stanford, 1 at USC.
3, okay, gotcha. Okay. So 4 years total, but refined, 4 years in the weight room. We all know what that difference that can make.
Yes.
Dominique is still 19. Kiki is about to be 22 in like a month. So 3-year difference. IQ. I think Kiki, I had this conversation with a few different people. Kiki was my original number 2 pick because of her face-up game, and she's showing it off right now. Like, sometimes she speeds it up too much, and I think the tournament actually hurt her when she was playing for USC. She had some rough games.
Yes.
She had a few good first halves, but man, was she inefficient at times. She was playing too fast. And now that she's in the WNBA, it's kind of perfect. Like, her style's kind of working perfectly. Like, she's getting around people, and she's just, like, not hesitating. And I love her game because she's an incredible athlete, 6'3", almost the Asia Wilson build, but not quite as tall, because Asia is 6'4". But I take Dom Malonga still 10 times out of 10 because of her ceiling, like you mentioned, Dante. It's like the way she can grow, she can be an absolute monster on defense, because in that same possession where she hit a fadeaway Dirk Nowitzki jumper over Brianna Stewart, the other end totally deters her shot. Didn't block it, but made it tough for Brianna Stewart to score, right? Wow. So I think just defensively and offensively, what she can bring you is unmatched, and Kiki came into a situation with the Washington Mystics where they needed her to start. She started every single game so far as a rookie. That's why she's an all-star. She's got all the usage and all the minutes.
Yes, and you know what? It's funny that you talked about a tournament, because I had USC going all the way.
You did. I remember we talked about that.
We talked about that before, and she disappointed. There's no other way to put that. Juju Watkins went down, and it was a chance for Kiki to step up and take over the reins of that team, and she did not do that. She fell flat, and that's if you could say she fell to 4, that's why her draft stock fell, and kind of fell out of my favor as a prospect. But she's getting every opportunity, but I'm taking Malonga every time also. I just like the potential and the promise, and you can see it. Like, I like a twitchy athlete. You can see the flashes. You can see the future when she makes her move, when she goes to the basket, when she runs the floor. She will dunk on somebody eventually.
Will. Oh,
So you're talking about a player that gets the crowd excited, because at the end of the day, this is entertainment, and she brings that box office, that entertainment value. I do not regret Dominique Malonga being the number 2 overall pick for the Storm. I think she'll have a long career here, and I think she'll be better on the back end of her career than Ariel Finn.
Yeah, I don't think I'm making that switch either for the reasons that you mentioned. I think it is interesting to think of this aging core, and you still have them in the back end of their primes. Like, this is the year where you got to make something happen. You can't settle for the 4 seed.
Right.
You need to push into that upper echelon of teams if you're going to compete for a title. So
but if you are a lower seed, and let me interject just this last point, if you are a lower seed in your higher seed, you don't want to go up against this Storm team.
Yeah.
You just don't want to see this team. This team has size across. They're shooting the ball well. They can defend. I mean, you're talking about a team in all facets of the game. When they're on, they're the best team in the WNBA. You do not, if the Storm are 4 or 5 seed, if you're one of those top seeds, you do not want to see the Storm in the playoffs. Trust me.
Well, and that's the biggest thing that you want. You want to be tough to play against. You want teams to be afraid when they see you at the other end of the bench on the court. With Dom, the biggest thing that I want to see the rest of the year is growth every single game.
Yeah.
That Atlanta Dream game, only playing 2 minutes, was a little bit disappointing, but I get it with the matchups. That's what Noelle Quinn said. Her against Brittany Griner, I feel like, would not really go well with Brittany's physicality. But then she turns it around and puts out, Noelle plays her more than 10 minutes against the Liberty. She has that dominant third quarter with all the rebounds, the Dirk fadeaway as well. You just see all the talent, all the tools for Dom Malonga. The Storm play the Connecticut Sun coming up tomorrow on Wednesday. So hopefully that's a game he can take advantage of, the worst team in the league.
And a shout out real quick by Noel Quinn to swap Erica Wheeler in that starting lineup. That's been a game changer.
Yes.
Erica Wheeler is a dog. Like she looks like so much fun to play with, and she's willing to do all the dirty work. Like crazy defender. Exactly your identity that you wanted, like a fine to be in the shadows some nights, but then she'll go off for 20 other nights.
Who was she chirp? Was it the Lynx that she was chirping at the end of that game? I think it was the Lynx when they handed them their first loss, and she was at
home?
She took a 3 at the end or something like that. Yeah, and then the post, because she went off that game. Yeah, really fun to watch. Erica Wheeler, keep doing your thing. We love watching you.
Fans.
An awesome story, undrafted, and she has earned every single thing that she has gotten in the WNBA.
And to Talisa Ray's credit, that was a great pickup because I thought she played great for the Fever last year. I didn't understand why they let her go. She was a perfect complement to Caitlin Clark. But, Talisa Ray put this team together, and I love the makeup of this team. You got veterans up and down this roster. You got young players that's promising. This is a great team if they put it all together.
Overcoming 3 ACL tears over the offseason. Crazy. Jordan Horston, Nika Mule, Katie Lucy-Amundsen all out for the year. Yet the Storm are situated very well, and I feel like we would all agree in a better situation than they were last year. So it's going to be fun to watch the rest of the season. Let's move on. We're going to wrap up the show with a final segment, What's Trending. I hope you guys all had an excellent 4th of July. You know who I know had an excellent 4th of July? Joey Chestnut. Okay. I mean, he went crazy for the Nathan's hot dog eating contest. 70 and a half dogs in 10 minutes. 7 dogs a minute.
He losing a step. He losing a step, right? Because his record, 74, 75 or something? 76. I mean, he's losing a step. I mean, what's going on, Joey?
It's crazy.
Joey Jaws, what's going on?
He won by 25 dogs. I mean, absolute dominance.
Yeah.
It raises the question, is he the greatest American athlete of all time?
He says with a serious tone.
17 championships.
Yeah, 17 titles.
Winning by that margin of victory every single year. I think he's up there. Now, BetMGM actually put out this ranking. They have the top 10 current American athletes. And I'm gonna call a spade a spade. This is the clickbaitiest thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah. We clicked.
It's fun to talk about. Joey Chestnut at the top. I'm not gonna argue about that one. Caitlin Clark is the only WNBA player I think is criminal. You've got LeBron James is the only NBA player. SGA just won the MVP. Yeah. You've got Patrick Mahomes above Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, who were both MVP candidate, or they were the 2 front runners for MVP. Josh Allen won MVP and is below Patrick Mahomes. We're talking current American athletes. I don't know if you can do that, but I mean, how criminal is this list? What do you guys make of the list?
This list is criminal because depending on her status, whether she's playing, I don't know if she retired or not. Serena Williams, where is she at on this list?
Oh, that is a great shout.
Because let's break it down. When you talk about, and I love Simone Biles on this list because when you're talking about the greatest ever, and it's undeniable, like a Simone Biles, like a Serena Williams, they belong on this list. Now, we've been a little bit liberal with the word athlete. Okay, if you got Joey Jaws as number 1, and I don't care how many.
Can you physically eat 7 hot dogs in a minute?
You know what?
That is an incredible athletic feat.
I wouldn't even want to, but I'm gonna just tell you right now. Calling Joey Chestnut an athlete, I don't know. I think we're being a little bit too liberal with the words athletes. It's a disrespect.
That's fair.
It's a difference between recreation and sports, okay? Eating hot dogs, and I don't care what pace, is a recreation. Let's go ahead and this guy is not an athlete, and I don't care how much he trains his stomach and expands his stomach and how he practices
his jaws.
He does his jaw exercises. I will not consider him an athlete. I'm sorry. I don't know if that makes me a snob or what, but Joey Jaws, hey, I'm happy for you. You're an American hero, definitely. American athlete, not so much.
For the sake of this conversation, he is an athlete.
Okay.
We want to do a top 5 dead or alive to just absolutely
top 5 dead or alive.
There we go. To fix this list because I think it's absolutely awful.
Okay.
Dante, I know you came up with a list. I wanted to come to an agreement on a top 5 for all of us.
Okay.
For best American athlete.
All right, let me.
Do you want to do we do current or greatest of all time?
Let's go current American athletes.
Okay.
Top 5. All right.
Okay.
At 1, I have LeBron James.
Okay.
At 2, I have Patrick Mahomes. 3, Caitlin Clark. 4 Stephen Curry, 5 Simone Biles.
No Joey Chestnut.
No, I'm sorry.
That's a non-negotiable for me. That is a non-negotiable. We are not stopping this record until y'all agree to put Joey Chestnut in the top 5.
Come on, you know.
Well, okay, I like your list. I do have to ask. So, is it greatest of all time or is it current? Because if we're talking greatest of all time, Patrick Mahomes and LeBron James absolutely deserve to be in the top 5, but Caitlin Clark does not. If it is current, I don't know if LeBron James deserves to be in there.
Yes.
There are 2 quarterbacks better than Patrick Mahomes right now in Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson.
Who was in that Super Bowl last year?
Okay.
In the same conference?
Okay.
And he's made it to the Super Bowl.
You play to win the games, all right?
LeBron James, though.
You know, LeBron James was second team All-NBA last year.
Second team?
Second team
Greatest
All-NBA.
current American athlete. We're going second all-team.
Second all-team, All-NBA. And he's 40 years old.
That's a good question.
He's 40 years old and still
current.
Okay,
greatest of all time. He is the greatest of all time, right? Right, D-Jack? He's the greatest basketball player of all time.
The greatest of all time, but we know who the true GOAT is, and that's Michael Jordan. It's not even a question. It's not even a debate. Come on, you trying to bait me up. Now, Ethan is
speaking of clickbait.
All right, let's go there, Alyssa.
Hook, line, and sinker every time, Dante.
Patrick Mahomes, Caitlin Clark, Stephen Curry, Simone Biles. What do you think of the list?
That sounds like the most well-known American athletes right now. Like if you're to go overseas, I bet you most people in Italy and France and China know pretty much all of them. Maybe not Simone Biles. Maybe they do.
Well, I don't know. The Olympics, I mean, that's international.
It's an incredible.
Like, it's ginormous,
it is.
You know?
It is. But I mean, I'm thinking like general American culture.
Yeah.
Like what people know about. Probably Steph Curry. I mean, he's been great, incredible. But I think you have to include titles. Which puts Patrick Mahomes
for
up
Joey
there. I know,
Chestnut.
and that's what I'm saying.
So who would you put
He's
one?
a winner.
Who would you put one?
I'd have to think about it more, honestly. Greatest American athletes of all time. I mean,
current, right now.
Current, because I'm going to put Michael Jordan on there too for 6 titles. But I put
it is dead or alive. I get it. His career is dead. But
probably put Patrick Mahomes because of how many titles, how many times he's made it to the Super Bowl, and how hard it is to do that in the NFL year in and year out. I think it's got to be Patrick Mahomes.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Now, one person I must add in another Olympic athlete, Katie Ledecky. One of the greatest swimmers ever. Like, when you talk about current athletes and you talking about them being the best ever, like, that's why Biles make the list. That's why Ledecky is honorable mention, because they're considered the greatest in their sports ever, and they're competing right now.
And Michael Phelps.
Okay, but he's not competing right now.
No,
we're talking about currently right now. And that's why Caitlin Clark makes the list at 3. To me, I mean, she lifted a whole league. Let's be honest. Like, I mean, and she's a great player at that. So, you know, LeBron James, we might be living in the past, but I still think he's currently one of the best players, top 10 players in the league right now.
He's the best of all time, for sure.
And then Patrick Mahomes. Yes, he won championships, you know, so I add Patrick Mahomes in there. So, what do you think?
Well, okay, my one point of contention is with Caitlin Clark.
Okay.
Is she the best player in the WNBA right now? That's a question for both of you.
I would say no. The best player is Nafisha Collier. To me, a lot of people would say Asia Wilson. A lot of people would say Breanna Stewart. But I watched the WNBA last year, and if you go last year, Collier was definitely the best player. Should have won the MVP, and you know, not as great this year, but still at the top of the league. So Collier would be the WNBA's best player, in my opinion. So no, she's not. But it's more than
Collier, Wilson, and Breanna Stewart all better than Caitlin Clark?
I would say at this point in their careers, yes.
I think.
But we're
with
talking
LeBron
about
James,
impact. We're talking about relevance. We're
I understand
talking about
that.
gain. We're talking about profile. We're talking about more than just on the court. We're talking about, and when you talk about impact, Caitlin Clark should be 1 on this list.
Well, nobody's changed the professional eating realm more than Joey Chestnut.
Every July 4th is devoted.
And you know what?
It's a national holiday for Joey Chestnut.
He missed last season, last year's event, and to your
that's
credit,
why he fell off.
It dropped.
He wasn't warm.
Yeah,
the jaws were not warm. Yeah.
I just can't put Joey Chestnut in this.
Well,
list.
Okay, that was a joke. But to Caitlin Clark, I understand the impact. She's been in the league for only a year and a half.
Yes.
And her in that time has not been a top 5 player in the league. You gotta wait until she ascends to eventually the best player in the entire league to put her in this stratosphere, in my opinion.
I would say she was a top 5 player last year.
You were?
Would.
Okay.
She was over 18 points a game, I believe. She
Led
was
the league in
over
assists.
8 assists. She was a turnover machine.
Top 3 though?
No.
That's why, like LeBron, you're gonna put LeBron in there for his impact. He's also the greatest basketball player of all time. I'm sort of tongue in cheek there.
Okay.
But all the titles, he has the history. He's 40 years old. He's played in the league a long time. Caitlin Clark has played in the league a year and a half, and she's never been a top 3 player in the league. She cannot be on the list of current greatest American players of all time.
Sometimes a player's impact is greater than their contribution. The impact she has on the WNBA, they're on chartered flights now.
Yeah.
They expanded the league by 5 teams, I believe, in the last 2 years.
Well, then can you put like
That is the Caitlin Clark effect.
Can you put David Stern on there as well as the commissioner that totally ascended the entire league of the
commissioners,
NBA?
but we're talking about athletes right now. American
athletes and their contributions, not just their impact.
Yes.
So
I think you guys differ on the definition of greatest. I think that's fair because you're more on court, on the field.
Yeah, that's a good read.
And your general impact.
I'm overall because I think her on the court performance is nothing nothing to sneeze
Not at all.
No.
I mean, you're talking about leading the league in assists. You see how deep she can shoot. I mean, she's changing the game of the WNBA already. I mean, they was guarding her full court in last year's All-Star game. I mean, that's respect, okay? So her on the court performance is great. But her impact, her total impact on women's basketball, even when she was at Iowa, I mean, it's just great. I haven't seen an impact on a game like this in the last, 20 years since probably Jordan, Magic, Bird.
Yeah.
Even LeBron didn't have this kind of impact because we were expecting this. But, she's expanding the league, I give her credit, by 5 teams. When? When did they add 5 teams? Because this player... They're moving the games from the arena to stadiums for Caitlin Clark. She's filling up the upper bowl at Storm at Climate Pledge, something they put curtains over that they never did. Come on now. The impact is greatest. That puts her on this list. She would be at number 1 for me. Actually, if it wasn't for Patrick Mahomes, who plays in the NFL since the NFL is such a big league, and LeBron James, you have to grandfather him in. He's one of the GOATs, definitely. So I put him at 1, but Caitlin Clark is right there with those guys.
I love your argument. For me, with Patrick Mahomes and LeBron James, they have the impact facet of it, and they also have the on the field contributions, the titles, the pedigree, the MVPs. Like, let's let Caitlin Clark win an MVP first before, let her ascend. In 2 years, she'll probably be number 1, to be honest. With her.
It's early. I'm early.
You're early to the game.
Too soon. You can say too soon. You can say too soon.
We'll play this segment again in 2 years, and you can tell me I told you so. But for now, I'm not there yet. She will be. She absolutely will be.
If it's greatest entertainers, Caitlin Clark is number 1.
For me, it's Joey Chestnut. That is just.
You put Joey Chestnut.
The intensity at
once
which
a year on the 4th of July, he eats
17 chips.
He eats 10 packs of hot dogs once a year, and you put him on this list. Here you got Caitlin Clark.
Hey, he's also a 6-time winner of the Hot Wings competition.
Yeah.
He's won the rib eating competition. Joey Jaws. It's Joey Jaws.
And nobody goes harder for 10 minutes at a time in his career. Yeah. I mean, Michael Jordan's not even Usain suicides for 10 straight. Yeah.
Okay.
No.
All right. So you with him.
Runners.
Joey belong on this list?
I'm with him on can we define him as an athlete? I kind of lean toward yes.
Wow.
But it's hard for me because I also look at agility is usually my number 1. Does the athlete use agility? And he clearly doesn't.
Yes.
But with the Jaws, maybe I don't
You
know.
got to run and jump.
You got to be quick.
To be considered an athlete, to me, you got to run and jump.
Mental toughness.
Yeah.
You got to run and jump.
That's
the definition of an athlete, in my opinion. You have to run and jump.
Well,
if you don't do that, I'm sorry.
His Jaws jumping up and down. Okay. I was a little optimistic thinking we could come up with a top 5. That is a tough prompt right there. We can have that in the back pocket for future guests and just start a whole debate and everything. Joey Chestnut's my number 1 and will forever be my number 1.
He's your GOAT?
He's my GOAT.
Okay,
Yeah, he's my GOAT. Number 2, LeBron James, for sure.
Definitely sarcastic.
That is all we got for this episode of On the Sidelines. Alyssa, thanks for coming on.
Yes, thank you.
Letting us chew up an hour of your time.
We
love talking sports with you. So
sure.
hopefully again soon. Catch her on Washington Sports Wrap on Fox 13 Seattle. New time, 6:30 weeknights. A lot of great sports conversations going on over there. Follow her on Twitter and Instagram at Alyssa Charlston. Alyssa, any final words or anything for us?
Get out to some Storm games. I think
Yes.
it's going to be a fun season.
No, they're fun.
got some fun.
They're fun.
Yeah.
For Alyssa, D-Jack, I'm Ethan McReynolds. We'll see you next time on The Sidelines.
Let's go!
On the Sidelines is available wherever you get your podcast.